Here we are at the northern tip of Cedar Point in beautiful Sandusky, Ohio. And what we're looking at now is the Mean Streak. 167 foot high, massive lumber, one of the largest wooden coasters in the world. And here is the Cedar Point and Lake Erie Railroad Station at the north end. And here is Maverick, the wicked, twisted steel coaster. So we're going to take you on a little tour now, walking down the west end of the park, back to the entrance. This is the Frontier Town section that we're in right now. And as I said in part one, this is all in real time, so you get a sense of how vast this park is. There's the entrance to Maverick. This actually used to be the old, huge aero log flume for many, many years. They kept the station of the log flume. But now there's a very fast coaster going through here. You can see on the right the huge queue line for that ride. And right now it's fairly early in the morning, so there aren't many people, but often that line will be completely filled. And you saw that fan with a mister on it, and that really helps on days like this to keep cool. This is the antique car ride at the north end of the park. There are actually 3 separate car rides at Cedar Point. We'll see the other 2 a little later on. It's always a big thrill for kids to drive their first automobile. There's the station for Maverick. Up in front of us is Chick-fil-A, another one of the restaurants that they have in the park. It's obviously just the chain that has their own restaurant there, just like Johnny Rockets has their own restaurant. And I love this huge building in front of us. It's mainly a storage building. Would make a lovely carousel pavilion. And that track that you see is the far end of Maverick, going out over a pond. And of course there's the wave swinger ride. In the distance you can see Skyhawk, which is a giant S&S screaming swing. There are a lot of little shops and restaurants and dining areas. There's a Gatos Mexican food cafe there. This is the entrance to the autocar ride on the left. And there's the Cedar Creek Mine Run. We'll just cut through by the gazebo here. And as I said in part one, I love the landscaping at Cedar Point. The layout is interesting, pretty plantings everywhere. The Town Hall Museum is a really nice and air-conditioned building that has a lot of the history of Cedar Point in it. Models, photographs. There's the screaming swing going through motion. And ahead of us is Snake River Falls, the big shoot-the-chutes ride that puts out one heck of a splash. The big yellow tower in the background is Top Thrill Dragster, the coaster. So this area we're in now is a sort of dead end. It just stops there. There aren't many dead ends in Cedar Point. Almost everything is interconnected, but probably because of all the water in this area with the pond and everything. And there's a look inside the museum. And there's the first drop of Maverick. A 95-degree drop. It's almost inverted. That turn, and you just saw the train go around, there are water cannons positioned in the pond that shoot up as it goes by. That big hill you see in the distance is Millennium Force, the 305-foot high roller coaster. It was the first roller coaster to break the 300-foot barrier back when it was built in 2000. I'm sure everybody on that boat is feeling a little bit cooler now. There's so much to watch at this park, it's hard to know where to look at times. Now didn't that feel cool? Alright, so now we're going to leave the Frontier Town section of the park for the one other themed section, the Frontier Trail. While Frontier Town really looks a lot like an old west town, this looks more like an early American settlement area. These people are coming off of Whitewater Canyon, the raft ride, and they're a little bit drenched. What we just saw there was a glass-blowing demonstration that happens throughout the day. A little glass shop here, and I love this building. It's all made out of bottles. You can see now the park is starting to fill up a bit more. The Midway is getting a lot more crowded. You can see these little barrels in front of us. That's where you can store your shoes when you go on the raft ride, because you will get soaked. There's an old grist mill over there, and it basically has a working grinding wheel in there that would normally grind wheat. Whoops, I was going to take you up on the observation deck here, but it looks like it's closed. So Let's double back and look at the raft ride over here. Those waterfalls are really where you get wet on the ride. As you'll see, you go right under them. I rode this with my wife in a driving rainstorm, and don't really know what the point was. We were getting wet anyway. That gives you an idea of what's in store for you on that ride. And they have some lockers that you can rent if you'd like to store your stuff. There's the first drop of Millennium Force. And this is a little petting zoo. Again, nice use of the old architecture in the buildings. That looks pretty foul. There's some old tractors. Millennium Force was built for speed. It gets to 95 miles an hour, and it pretty much stays that way through most of the ride. Over there on the left is Shoot the Rapids, another water ride. Now these buildings were constructed to replicate an actual American settlement in this area. You can see vegetation growing out of the roofs. They're all mostly little quaint shops. Some have leather crafters, some have wood crafters in them, some jewel crafters. This is the shadiest area of the park, so on a hot day it's a good place to be. Also, this entire stretch of the park at night is lit up with thousands of small LED lights. Here's the track for Millennium Force. Unfortunately, we keep seeming to miss the sight of the Millennium Force train rushing by, but it's a pretty impressive sight. The train you saw off to the left there was actually Mantis, which we'll see in a little bit. Over on the left is a replica. Well, it's not a replica, it's actually one of the steam engines that used to run on the Cedar Point and Lake Erie Railroad. And they have a little article about each one of the different engines that runs on the track. Some more food, ice cream. Over on the left there is the Red Garter Saloon. That's another place where you can sit down and have a meal and also enjoy a show. On the right you have a Panda Express, so if you like Chinese food, you can get your fix there. And now we're leaving the Frontier Trail section, heading back onto the main Midway. You can see Millennium Force's final turn. There's a fresh squeezed lemonade stand there. Really good. And the yellow and blue coaster there is Mantis. That's a stand-up coaster, a very intense one. And there's the station for Millennium Force on the right. And there's another one of those fast pass games like they had at Gatekeeper. So if you wanted to play the game, you could have a chance to win a fast pass for that ride. Get you on the ride a little quicker. At the time Mantis was built, it was the largest stand-up roller coaster ever built. As I said before, Cedar Point really likes big records. You can also see the track in the distance for Iron Dragon, the suspended coaster. Originally, Mantis was supposed to be called Banshee, but it was thought that term was too offensive, so instead they named it after an insect that eats its young. The gate is down, so that means that the Cedar Point Railroad is coming down. Cars are pulled by an actual coal-fired steam engine. And as you can see, it's one of the highest capacity rides in the park. All right, let's continue on.
God bless you.
It's the 50th anniversary year of the Cedar Point and Lake Erie Railroad. It was installed in 1963 for the first time. Up ahead of us on the right, for many, many years, used to be the old Wildcat steel coaster. That was removed a few years ago, and instead they now have this gigantic seating area and stage for a night show called Luminosity. It's basically a big rave, a big dance party, fireworks, flames, big screens. There's the station for Iron Dragon, another one of those wonderful modernist architectural structures in the park. This big cylinder, the blue cylinder in front of us, that's actually a platform that the dancers perform on. You can see couple of them further on down there. The building on the right is the control and projection booth, and that's the main stage. There's Windjammer in the distance. You can see one of the spires of Wicked Twister. And on the right, you can see the Good Time Theater. It's a big stage, and they have shows that happen there. In this case, they're doing a Peanuts review. Something the kids will really like. And then on the left is another wonderful Art Deco structure. It's a diner called Coasters. You can get burgers and shakes. Some nice old cars out front as well. There's the Cedar Point Water Tower in the distance, along with the Corkscrew roller coaster. And now we're back on the main Midway. There's a gigantic Dodgem rink. So if you like bumper cars, that's the place for you. There's the North Station for the Sky Ride. And that will take you down back to the entrance. The big spires that you see in the distance is the huge Cedar Point Ballroom with the arcade in it. That is another exit to the park. It actually goes out to some dormitories where workers stay over the summer. And you can see in the nice shady area over there in the trees is the other antique car ride in the park. You can see the covered bridge there. And if you look way in the distance, you can see a Cadillac car. They actually have two different car rides intertwined. So for those budding young drivers in the family, that's a good place to take them. There's the Pagoda gift shop over on the left and Snoopy's Boutique. Again, really beautiful plantings all around the Midway.
Come up and play and win some. Age Waiter Bird Month, guys. Fool the guests at one time and you win kitty prize. Age Waiter Bird, what do you guys play to play, right?
You need a Subway grinder. There's where you can get one. There's also another Subway shop at the far north end of the park. And that's the ballroom over on the left with the arcade. This is one of my favorite rides in the park. One of only 3 in the world. It's a racing derby. It's like a gigantic merry-go-round. But the horses actually race each other. They move back and forth in the troughs. So you never know who's going to come out ahead in the end. That's the arcade in there. It's pretty vast, and they have a nice collection of old pinball machines at the back of the room. The Cadillac cars and the antique cars both are under the structure of the Raptor. It's pretty thrilling when that train goes by. Let's take a walk underneath the Raptor here. There's another almost hidden section of Midway throughout here. I love the way that Cedar Point immerses you in the rides. You can't escape them. They're all around you. They celebrate huge rides. In front of us is the station for one of the older rides in the park, and I think one of the best, the Blue Streak roller coaster. It's a good old wooden out and back coaster. That's a lot of fun. Still a very popular ride. In the distance there you can see the Calypso, a spin and bar flat ride, and over on the right is the station for the Cadillac cars. And this building here used to be an old pirate dark ride they had at one time. It's now just a strange sort of wall. The blue hill far in the distance is Gatekeeper. You can see the Ferris wheel, which looks stunning at night. It's got a computer-controlled lighting display on it. That's quite amazing. There's Kitty Kingdom in front of us and the giant frisbee. And that crisscrossing track in the distance is the entrance to Cedar Point, new in 2013. There's the entrance to the Raptor, which is a really fun thrill ride. Packs a punch. And there's the Midway Market. That's a cafeteria-style buffet place. Serves really good food. And lots of it. Lots of different varieties of food. Toff's is a Sandusky, Ohio tradition. It's a local ice cream company, and there's a Toff's ice cream parlor there. The Jack Aldrich Theater every year has an interesting selection of shows in there. Right now they're doing a Broadway review. On the left is that wonderful Cedar Point gift shop. The Park Plaza gift shop. It has any souvenir you could imagine. Hurricane Hannah's there, little eatery on the right. And to our left is the Midway Carousel. And with that, we're back at the entrance, and we've come full circle. So I hope you've enjoyed this walking tour of Cedar Point, America's roller coaster, the largest amusement park in the world. And if you haven't had a chance to, I hope you do get a chance to visit it sometime. You'll find out why they call it the Amazement Park.